What is something perfectly legal that feels illegal? You mean doing basically anything when a cop is around. Walking underneath the nothing to declare sign at customs even though you literally don't have anything to declare. Edit. Obligatory thanks for the gold, kind stranger. This happens to be my first rodeo. Walking through a metal detector always puts me on edge, feel like out of nowhere I'm suddenly concealing a weapon. Taking something into a store like Lowe's or Home Depot to make sure you can find the correct adapter or connection. Then walking out with it and not paying for anything after not finding the correct connector. When you enter a store with your own stuff you need to wave it around at the cameras so if they try to bust you just say check the footage, I'm innocent. And then they say that's great, this is Papa John's, we didn't expect you to be stealing a wrench from us, but those aren't your pizzas. Turning left at a red light from a one-way street to another one-way street. Edit. For those asking or confused, I live in Ontario, Canada. First drive after getting a driver's license. It's been years since I was in mandatory education, yet I still feel weird being out in town during the day on a school day. Stealing a balloon on Free Balloon Day. After getting out of the Army, US, calling everyone at work by their first names. Or using an umbrella. Unpaid internships. It's basically slavery if you don't get any connections from it. Buying alcohol for the first few months after turning 21. When you get a craving for cake in the middle of the night and try to open that damned plastic container and suddenly the whole damn neighborhood is awake and knows your shame. Taking money from a take a penny leave a penny tray. It's there for a purpose, but it would feel like I'm taking money that belongs to someone else if I did so. Taking your first newborn home from the hospital with no prior training or experience. Working in advertising, I find how much info I can collect on a specific individual is super creepy. As a general note, just don't sign up for newsletters. The stuff you unknowingly give companies on yourself is scary. Feels so creepy. Just your email and full name is enough for people to know your whole life if they put that stuff into FB or other networks. Ordering weed of a government website and smoking it in Canada. It's illegal to buy from a guy on the corner but okay from the government. And growing weed in your backyard. Absolutely nuts. In a surprising amount of US states, you can have relations with someone age 16. I always thought it was 18. Riding the elevator facing backwards. Showering in your socks. Selling subprime mortgages to people who absolutely cannot afford them, and backhand bundling them as investment funds to resell to investors, betting they will fail and taking out insurance against that failure with the purpose of getting rich off the insurance while all the investors in those funds go broke. The housing economy bursts and the entire global economy suffers. It happened. We bailed out the banks, America lost its shirt and not one move has been made to make this fully unethical practice illegal. Walking on the middle of an asphalt road with no cars around. Makes me feel like a teenage movie rebel. Turning on the lights in the car while driving at night. The biggest adulthood plot twist was discovering an entire generation had been convinced it was illegal. Driving in front of an ambulance. Edit. I meant one without the lights on. Cereal with water. Every time I checkmark a box saying under penalty of perjury, I certify everything above is true. The library. The fact that you can just hang out there for hours, use the computers and then leave with a huge stack of books and movies without paying a cent is very surreal for 2019. Crossing the Canadian/American border. They grill you so damn hard you start to wonder if you're guilty of something. As a Canadian walking around a European city and casually buying my beer at a grocery store, cheaper than Coke, and getting to enjoy it in a public park. Hoarding Taco Bell sauce packets to have with your boiled eggs at home. Driving in bare feet. Marrying your cousin. Being able to think of whatever you want no matter how cruel it is and no one being able to see what you're thinking. Not sure if it really is legal, but opening and drinking a water bottle in the store while shopping. If I'm thirsty or even hungry enough, I will open it before I buy it. But I don't hide it or steal and I've never been told to stop by a cashier/employee. Parking overnight in a metered spot on a busy street that says 2-hour parking 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. or something. Perfectly legal, but just always feels weird parking overnight at a meter. Not leaving a tip. Running up an escalator going down. They will call security, but I don't think it's technically illegal. Ooh, but that sweet escalator danger though. Picking fruit from a tree that's on public property. Drinking beer on the train. I honestly thought it was prohibited but apparently it's not. Clicking on a NSFW. At work. So I live near Pensacola, Florida in the USA, And we have this bridge that has been graffitied so much that the city literally made it legal to spray paint on that bridge. But something about spraying graffiti S's on a bridge on a busy highway in broad daylight just doesn't feel right. Using a ton of coupons, I'm saving big, and that's totally cool with the store, but I feel like I'm conning them or something. Checking a huge stack of stuff out of the library. So I can just take all these, read them, and bring it all back and get more? This is like $300 in books and movies. It's legal, in my country at least, as a pregnant woman to buy and consume cigarettes and alcohol. It's also legal to sell to a customer who's pregnant, and there's actually nothing you can do about it. If you're over 21 and have the proper paperwork, drinking whiskey straight from the bottle on the roof of your house while holding a shotgun, wearing nothing but righty-whities, and playing Motorhead at a reasonable volume. Eating food during Ramadan when you are sick and allowed to avoid the fast. Driving a rental moving truck with a normal driver's license. Saying the N-word. The fact you can drink in a beer garden from age 5 in the UK. A beer garden is a very public place and 5-year-olds can have pints. Lying on a credit card application. It's entirely legal to do so as long as you intend to fulfill your side of the agreement. Being able to buy and consume a drug that is very addictive and makes some people aggressive, alcohol. That being said, where is my bottle opener? Taking unbought stuff out of people's shopping carts. It's rude, sure, but not illegal. Still feels like stealing even though they don't technically own it. Bluffing the grocery store sample lady like you're actually considering buying some of that sausage but you know you're not going to. Oh? Sage, you say? I can taste it for sure. Yes, that's very interesting. In NSW, Australia, drinking a beer, or wine, or tequila or whatever, as a passenger in a moving vehicle. As long as the driver isn't drinking, the passengers can go crazy. Parking in a disabled parking space when you have the correct documentation and permit, but you don't look disabled. Geocaching. I both feel like a secret treasure hunter and the most loving, obviously suspicious person anywhere in the area. I rarely feel like I'm allowed to be searching for a publicly hidden tiny container with a paper inside even in the middle of the woods. Selling a product that's more addictive than cocaine and is linked to over 30 deadly diseases/conditions. But it's pretty common and quite legal. When you ask the teacher to use the bathroom and she does a half nod while being too preoccupied with something. Getting TV channels for free with an over-the-air antenna. It's basically like a radio picking up a bunch of stations and you don't pay for it, but feels like you should be. Flipping off a cop. In the US at least, a Supreme Court judge recently ruled that it's legal, and said something along the lines of being rude is not a crime. I'd have to dig for a link, but Leonard French of Lawful Masses covered it recently. Breaking into your house because you lost your key. Walking into a store with a shirt you bought there. Auditing a class. Most schools are totally fine with you doing it, but last time I did, the teacher was so shocked by the presence of an unfamiliar student in the classroom that she started questioning me rather aggressively in front of the whole class. It was my girlfriend who'd brought me, and I didn't want to out her and get her in trouble. I was nervous, so I end up acting hella suspicious and saying contradictory things. Eventually I just picked up and left. Later I found out she thought I was a school shooter. Welcome to the US. When you legit need to return an item to Amazon and the confirmation says no need to return the item, we have refunded your money back to you. Using the Apple Store app to ring up your own purchases and walk out holding them. Going through the 12 items or less grocery line when you have 12 items or less. Motorcycles being able to squeeze between cars to pass. Seems incredibly dangerous. All the free snacks, fancy lunches/dinners and coffee at work. I never brought my own food or even bought any in the past 3 years. Also the free Wi-Fi, abused it by downloading 800+ GB in a month. Oh, and almost forgot all the Apple product freebies that you get in events. I just make rounds at all the people who give them out at private company events. I even go again for seconds, did third rounds but had to actually change what I wore. I don't think it mattered, to be honest, and no one had stopped me yet. Lol. I feel so guilty, but hey, it's free. When a police officer waves you through a red light when directing traffic. Bringing kids into a liquor store. The government taking land under eminent domain. Switching lanes. I don't feel bad for doing, but other people on the road always make sure to tell me I am with their actions. Open carrying rifles in Idaho. My friend has a Chinese SKS that I was walking around with slung on my back to carry it to his apartment. I felt like someone was going to shoot me or call the police, but no one cares. Banking. How am I spending money I don't have, and in return paying you more than I have spent? Also, why are you sharing my money with others and don't give my money back to me because you lost it in an economic crisis? It's dark magic. Making people work 5 days a week.